Next, in your problem set of practice problems for our final exam is asking you to prepare a trial balance. So sorry I don't have it printed out. I just kind of rewrote the problem here so you can see it. In this problem it says below is a list of balances from the ledgers. So these are your general ledger account balances. For well services, May 31, prepare a trial balance. So remember, the trial balance comes before you prepare the financial statements. It's where you put all your debits in one column, all your credits in the other column, and try to balance. That's how I remember it. So here's the answer down here, right? We're going to work on that. I went ahead and wrote my title, and of course we're going to have the account titles and the debits and the credits. So the thing you have to understand when you're doing a trial balance is it goes in the same order as the balance sheet first, then the income statement, the revenues and the expenses. So you have to know what order it would go in. So the same order of balance sheet would go in, then your revenues, then your expenses. And you have to know whether this balance would be a debit or a credit, right? So these are the normal balances, right? So a normal balance is whatever increases it. So for assets, the normal balance would be debit. For liabilities, the normal balance would be credit. For equities, the normal balance would be credit. For expenses, debit. For revenues, credit. So that tells you which side it goes on. Their normal balance is where it goes. So this is pretty easy, but the first thing you have to figure out is the order. So assets go first. So let's find our assets. Okay, none of those. Accounts receivable is an asset. And cash is an asset. And of course, most liquid to least liquid. So cash would be number 1. And accounts receivable 2. So there's the first two things. So after assets come liabilities. And looking here, here's my only liability. So that's the third thing I'm going to list. Next come equity accounts. So common stock, no retained earnings, so that's my only equity account. So common stock's next. Then after that comes revenues. Well, we got that. That's our only revenue. And then expenses. And it doesn't really matter. You know, frequently they're just in the order, in a trial balance, they're often just in the order they were set up on the system. So maybe this is it, or maybe they're in alphabetical order. So, but we'll just go with this 6 and 7. All right. So now we just translate that into our trial balance. So the first thing is going to be cash, and it's $22,400. I'm putting it on the debit side because that's what increases cash. And of course, accounts receivable, $3,500. It's a debit because that's what increases accounts receivable. The next thing is accounts payable. Accounts payable. That's going to be a credit because that's what increases accounts payable. So the next thing was common stock. Common stock, which is an equity account, increases with credit, so it needs to be on the credit side. 16,000. Next, for number 5 was service revenue. I'm sorry. Yes, that's right. Service revenue. And revenues are always on the right. I just remember that. Revenues on the right. Then we have our salary expense. And of course expenses are debits, right? Because that's what increases them. So salary expense is going to go right here, $1,500, and rent expense is $1,200. All right, and so then we have our total. So you add these all up in the debit column, and they add up to 28,600. And you add all the credits, and clearly they're going to be 28,600. And so we do balance, and that is a trial balance. You try to balance. So definitely don't confuse it with a balance sheet. Alright, that's something completely different. So trial balance, and this is it.